Here's how to change the rear tire on a Harley-Davidson FXR. This is a 1991 FXR, officially FXLR lowrider. So you'll notice that I've got the bike on a lift, so that's step one. Harley doesn't have a center stand, so somehow get your bike up in the air. I've done this by propping it up on a center stand, on a cinder block with a block of wood on top of the cinder block before on my Sportster. So you could do that if you don't have a jack around, but a jack is the best thing. You'll notice that on this side where there's no muffler, there's a nut and then a bolt going through the entire wheel and coming out here. So in order to remove this big long axle, you have to remove the rear exhaust pipe. So that's going to be step one. To remove the rear exhaust pipe, you just loosen up these fasteners here and then loosen up the two fasteners here and here, which are connected to a support bracket. I think I can get the bolt out without removing the support bracket, but we'll see. I would say that's the cause of the problem right there. Alright, I've been able to move the muffler down and out of the way. Normally I would have taken it off, but I have a bolt on here that didn't want to come loose. So what I did was I unhooked the muffler support from here, undid these two bolts, and then just undid this bolt, left that bolt where it was, tried to split it with a splitter, but I'll do that later, and just disconnected it here so there's enough room to pull the axle out now. On your bike you probably just want to undo these bolts, and then convince the muffler to come off. Next, on the belt side of the bike, you want to pull the cotter pin out of the axle and then undo this bolt that holds the axle in. Alright, so at this point in the game you want to make sure you remember where all the parts are. Part of the reason that I shoot these videos is so that I remember what went where. Got a big nut here and a big washer. And then we're going to go ahead and pull it out the other side. Push and pull. Oh, that's pretty easy. I'm holding on to it as I do this. Holding onto the wheel, I mean. Got my knee under it. Hold your bastard. Belt is hung up on the belt guard. I'm going to try to fix it by jacking the bike up a little more and then rolling the tire forward. Like a charm. So then we just slide the belt off to the side, roll the tire out the back. Hope that our jack can be trusted. Now I take this to my local bike shop. You want to ask your local bike shop if they will change a tire for free if you remove it from the bike for them. And in my case, I'm saving 80 bucks by doing this. Otherwise, I'd be happy to roll it in there and have them do it. Alright, now it's time to put the wheel back in. I'm going to reverse the bolt. I talked to my local independent motorcycle repair shop, and they said that they do that on Harleys, that they'll, rather than coming in from this side and having to remove the muffler next time, I'm going to have the nut on this side and the bolt end of it on the other side. Just reverse it, so if I ever need to take the wheel off again, I can just pull it out here. They said they do that to their regular customers' bikes that they're going to work on regularly, because it just speeds things up and makes it easier to get the wheel off if they need to do the brakes or the tires or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. The only trick is you want to make sure that you keep the big spacer on the pulley side and the small spacer on the brake side. So wherever your spacers were before you initiated this operation, you need to go back in the exact same place. So let's just pull this baby out of here. And same goes for washers. In this case, the nut has a washer on it, so I'm going to put that on the new nut side. Keep the spacers in the same place. You want to also, this is pretty greasy. If it's not pretty greasy, you want to make it greasy. Now I just take the bolt insert it in where the wheel goes. Get the spacer in there. Alright, on this side of the bike, we're going to go ahead and put the belt back onto the pulley. Like so. Alright, so we've positioned the rear wheel with one spacer in here by the brakes. The brake disc securely where it should be. Put the other spacer on this side. It's probably a two-man job, but I'm doing it myself there. Make sure that your axle has a little grease on it, so it'll be easy to take out next time. Make sure that your belt tension adjuster is lined up proper. There we go. And then just convince it to go through the hole. Alright, I'm going to give it a little help with the rubber mallet. The rubber mallet works pretty well until you get to this end, and then over here you want to just use some finesse to make sure that you get it through the adjuster hole, everything properly. You don't want to beat on it with a hammer on the other end and injure all of these sides of the bike. So I'm going to go in there and just wiggle it and move it around and get it to come out that hole properly, and then put the nut on that end. Yep. Alright, so me lining it up on this side and having my assistant bang on it with a hammer, a rubber mallet. That's my assistant, that's the rubber mallet. Made it go right through. So now we'll put the nut on that side. You can see there's plenty of room for the muffler to clear, so it's not going to be a problem having the nut on this side as opposed to the other side. And then we'll be riding. Alright, crank that down, put in a new cotter pin, and we are back on the road. Alright, now we just gently put our mufflers back into place, back where they were, re-bolt down the muffler hangers. Your bike might have a different arrangement on it. And then go for a ride to test it. Now be advised, a new tire has mold lubricant on it, so the first, I don't know what they recommend. I mean, I'm going to take it easy the first 100 miles while I'm breaking it in, just because you don't want your tire slipping out from under you when you go around a corner, because it's still slippery from the factory. So take it easy for the first 100 miles. Alright, in this case I didn't change the drive belt tension at all, so it's the same as when I started. You may want to check your drive belt tension after you do this, especially if you found yourself having to adjust these nuts, make them looser in order to get the wheel out. In my case, I didn't have to do that. It was able to come out on its own. I'm still going to check the drive belt tension though once I get it back down on the ground, just to make sure that everything's cool. This is a way to determine whether or not your drive belt on your Harley motorcycle is tight enough without using the special Harley tool, just by using your hands. This method isn't probably as accurate as using the official Harley tool, but the people who use it tell me it's pretty close, and it is definitely a quick check if you want to run a quick check and you don't have any tools. So I'm putting the camera under the bike here, and you can see the drive belt here. So if you grab it about 1.5 inches behind the primary and then twist it, if you can twist it to 45 degrees before you feel any serious resistance, then it's good. If you can't twist it 45 degrees, if it's tighter than that, then you need to loosen it. And if you can twist it up to 75 or 90 degrees, then you need to tighten it. But you should just right about here twist it to 45 degrees and feel resistance, then you're good. You want to make sure that the bike is in neutral when you do this, so that you're feeling the tension of the whole belt and the transmission and rear tire aren't absorbing any of the tension.